Hello, hello. There's a method to my madness, and that is cranberries. Today's cranberries is a one-punch build. Booting up the game, we're going to try and get this as fast as possible. I don't know if we can get the Ender Dragon today. I want to. The goal is where I'll have progressive farms. This mod pack has Ascendant mobs. These are compression gloves. I love them. They're the best purchase I've made. This mod pack has Ascendant mobs. The farther we get from spawn, the worse the mobs are gonna be. But that also means they drop more XP, so the farther from spawn, the better of the XP farm you can make. However, I also need to survive making it. So, the hope is that I can make a skeleton farm pretty damn close to spawn, then we'll make one closer to the stronghold, and then, I changed around the strongholds. We have young strongholds again, which has made it harder for me to find the normal stronghold I go to, which is about 3,000 blocks out. I want to make a second farm about 3,000 blocks out from spawn, so the mobs will be about level 50, somewhere around there. Which, level 50, level 75 is usually what they end up being around there. Also, I do not have stream music playing. I need to be good about that. Hold on, let me get that up while Minecraft is still taking a good minute to load. If you want to skip all this, I will put up a marker on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, haha, sorry, skip to 5 minutes, I guess. Where is playlist? I switched the music software I use, but I did move everything over, so there we go. Lovely. Play. There we go. And turn it down just a wee bit, put it on shuffle, and loop. There we go, wonderful. Yes, I am aware I am live Twitch, thank you. Did Minecraft even try and open? It should have opened by now. What is happening? What is going on? Why is this occurring? Did I close CurseForge too soon? It didn't actually get to open anything. Oh, you suck. Oh, you suck. But the hope is those progressive farms, and then we will go into the end, beat the Ender Dragon, and then I'll make an Enderman farm in the end. Because if I can one-shot the Ender Dragon, the hope is I can one-shot a lot of other things. However, the Wither is going to be one of the worst ones, because I need to be 800 for that. To 1,000, it depends on where we spawn it. If I get really unlucky and we start in an ocean world, I may be several hundred blocks from spawn, because it will, depending on what the seed is, it will automatically place you on the nearest landmass. So your spawn is supposed to be near 0, 0, but it could be at 20, 30, or 50, 100, with whatever is the nearest land block. So it also depends on the seed, and then hardcore for flavor. Because that's what I've decided to do now. I really didn't like the idea of hardcore, but I also like the idea of the risk of it, and it will also make this slightly harder. I did some experimenting before stream to test this out and see what would work and what would not, and what would be helpful and what wouldn't. Technically, the stats mod is the only thing that will actually help us. Technically speaking. As an extreme technicality. Because there's numerous things that can help us, and I'm gonna go over this real quick. Because I think, I also use this in the thumbnail, the artifact, the Power Glove, can help us, because that does add to melee damage. Joining world? Thank you. Also, the Ender Dragon's stuck here. I can't kill him. I tried to slash killing everything, it didn't work. And I think stream music's still a little too loud. Hold on. YouTube music's a lot louder than it needs to be at all times. I believe the Power Glove is one of the few things that can genuinely help us. Increases melee damage dealt by the wearer. Everything else doesn't really affect anything. The hook can help us because it increases experience drops. That's about it. Unfortunately. I can go a step further I believe the best way to get absolutely the most damage possible from a single hit without adjusting any of these statistics, this is a stats mod, is being a Blazeborn warrior. Let me grab an Iron Golem. And then a Flint and Flint and Steel. So, Iron Golem, we have textures, obviously. When Blazeborns are on fire, they deal extra damage. So, one shot, I'm not wearing the Power Glove. 5. And, am I wearing a Power Glove? No, I'm not. If we put on the Power Glove, I can get just that little bit more damage. And so now we're dealing, like, 9. And that's without touching any damage at all. That is the most you can do. It's still not a lot. So we're going to be fully relying on the stats mod. Because this does not get better with stats. I tried. I added 10 damage, 20 damage, 50 damage. It's the same increments. It only adds about 8 total to your damage, no matter what you do. That's the max amount you can add on top of the stats. So I think it's rather pointless. So we're just going to go with whatever build suits me best, and that would be an Elytrian Warrior. Because it does the same damage as Blazeborn when you are flying and dealing damage, but that's not nearly as important to me. I just want to be an Elytrian so I can fly around. And I will put the marker here. One Punch Man! Hardcore. Let's go. And I'm now going to move this out of the way. This is a lovely Stream Deck app. I adore it. I will always mention this when I can. And now, the world is going to take 5 billion years to load. Today's drink of the day. It's more Sprite than orange juice at this point. But it is Sprite and orange juice. Because that's the only way I enjoy orange juice anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I still find it hilarious that this is even a feasible build at all. I found out this by accident, if you're new here. I found it out by complete accident. I was going down through a dungeon in the last challenge I did, which was Bingo. I gave myself 80 damage at some point. And while I was trying to pillar myself up to get myself safe from zombies, I had punched a zombie in order to get him away from me, expecting him to take like, a tick of damage. It killed him in one shot. So that's when we learned a one-punch build is feasible at all, and I became hellbent on making that my next challenge. So here we are. We are going Elytrian for traveling, and Warrior for the best damage we can do. Oh! Why are my wings like that? Oh, wait, hold on. I still have the cape. Hold on, what does a pride cape look like? You know what, I like the bees more. I do adore the pride cape. I like the pancake more. Oh, what is a common cape? No. Bee cape. Bee cape. It looks like a bee. That does not look like pancakes. Okay. Normal Minecraft stuff, unfortunately. We have to get through this as fast as possible. Hopefully. I just want to play my game. Yeah, right. At least, there's a lot of dungeons I can do, too. The problem is, I need to get enough experience first off. This song is still too loud for my ears. I have it so low at this point, is the problem. But I can't think around the music. Is that good for... Yeah, that's good. Okay, I will just suffer and not be able to hear myself think. But I have really sensitive ears. That is a thing. That spawns strays. Also, this is my first time genuinely playing Minecraft with these compression gloves. These showed up in the middle of me editing the last video, so I have no idea how well I'm actually going to play. And if I play bad, I'm blaming it on the gloves. 100%, absolutely. I love falling tree. I love saving time in my mods. And then pickaxe. I want to see... There's a nether structure over there as well. I want to see what both of these guys are about. And boop. Ah, I love being an Elytrian. You look like probably a... I'm not sure, actually. Do you have any loot? You have a stray. But you don't... You have... Oh, there's one barrel down there. There's a singular barrel. Ah, but you don't really have anything I would like, is the problem. You do have coal, though. That is actually useful. You suck. Okay, yeah, okay, goodbye. Yeah, I wasn't actually flying. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, we got one piece of coal. A singular piece. Lovely. And I still have slowness. Oh, you're companions! I'm stealing your items. I'm stealing your stuff. This is useful to me. I have no remorse about any of this. Although their chests have literally nothing, which is the downside of them. Cows! I need... Oh, there's illagers over there. Great. Love that. Can I just... Bonk. No, I need to... Get over here! You suck! Stop going towards the villagers, pillagers. Shut. No. This is gonna be a really short run. Okay. That sucked. Anything else near me that isn't so horrible? Where even am I on the map? Okay, so we are closer to spawn. That's good. There's something over there that may have things for me. It has a cobweb, which I need. That's a big chicken. Is that a Stardew Valley chicken? Okay. Oh, you have wheat. Okay, hold on. I can make a hamburger. Oh, I can't. I don't have iron. I need a frying pan first. How best to do things? Oh, I should know these things. It is my mod pack. I should know these things. But I don't. I need to do normal Minecraft instead of just stealing all of my loot. But I want to steal. I wish to pilfer. Okay, are there any... I was hoping there'd be a village. But they're just... What are you? Are you turtles? Turtles! I was hoping there'd be a village, but there just ain't. And I'm already going far away from spawn. There's piggies over there. And then this is a bandit, quote-unquote. It's just a villager. There's not even anything here, actually. Iron! Wonderful. And we'll take the gunpowder for fireworks. I can perfectly make a frying pan. And now we can take all of this, and I can make myself a hamburger. To be fair, it is good food. It is very, very good food. And that's not something that will break. That will never break on me. Okay, I need a explorer's compass at some point. Let's steal their bricks. So I'm not seeing any cracked bricks. Oh, there is a cracked brick. Hold on. Give me that. Boop. I saw that. Where did you go? You're down there. Okay, lovely. And then the rest of those I need to smelt. I'm already wasting inventory space, but it's fine. Anything else around? There's a semi-normal village. Waystone Tower will usually have some amount of loot. We're gonna steal the Waystone instead of keeping it here, or using it, because there's a Waystone right down below. We can use that for immediate travel later. I can't wear leggings because I'm an Elytrian. I can... Iron swords are pointless. I don't... I'm hesitant on if I only want to one-punch the bosses, or I want this to be purely a one-punch build. Because the goal is, yes, to punch the bosses. But do I want that to extend to absolutely everything is the next question. I don't know if that's a dungeon or not. But we're about to find out, I suppose. No better way to lose the run. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, goodbye. Have a good day. Anything else on minimap? There was a tavern over there. There's something in the water there. I'm almost out. There we go. That's a witch hut. Tavern. I don't know if you'll genuinely have stuff for me. Oh, that's not a door I was supposed to get up to, apparently. Ooh, yes, you will have stuff. I do need shears for cobwebs. Emerald. I would usually grab emeralds for an emerald bow. But the bow doesn't seem to actually work with the damage buff. It doesn't seem to be affected by the damage buff. So we're gonna ignore that. And what? Oh, it's a cat. What does the kitty cat look like? It's pretty. I will happily take that iron. I do not care. See, when you loot things, you get free stuff. That's fantastic. I don't actually have to do anything. Everything is handed to me on a silver platter. It's wonderful. Lovely. Okay, great start. And can I smelt these in here? Yes, I can. Beautiful. And so then all I need is to make a compass, so we need some redstone or to find one. And then find some cobwebs. So we can make the explorer's compass, which requires that stuff. And I'm taking this with me. I should grab wool for a backpack. Was it you that had more wool? Yeah. You can use mixed wools for this, thankfully. And because I have shears, we can collect even more wool. And I have slowness because I'm indoors. Yeah. I see pigs. I can't use pigs for hamburgers. It has to be cow meat. It has to be beef. What is that? What are you? What are you? Oh, there's a sheep. There's multiple sheep. Hold on, hold on. Hello there. I got 5, 6, 8. Okay, perfect. I don't need the rest of them. That's perfectly what I want. And what is going on over here? It's nothing. It's absolutely... Oh, I could have gotten cracked stone brick, though. That goes down farther. Every time... I've dealt with this on a playtest of the world. Every single time I use this one, it always, and I mean always, messes this up. Where did the... There you are. Come back. I just want to see what's downstairs. So stop. Stop. There we go. Lovely. Never mind. Okay, we're gonna... Alternatively... I need multiple. Boop. Boop. And then there we go. Okay, what? Oh, wait, I'm pretty sure there's stuff down here that I'm not ready to deal with. Maybe? Is it a crypt? There's iron and a flint for flint and steel. Okay. I do need string, actually. Okay, this one wasn't so bad. Good to know. There was more string in here. I don't need bones right now. I do want more leather, though. Oh, I should get a few more sheep so we can make a sleeping bag, which won't Actually, you know what? I have the red bed. I'm going to use it. Spawn point doesn't matter. We're hardcore. Spawn point does not matter. I do not need to spend the extra time. I could always... We could ditch the red bed and only use a sleeping bag. Sleeping bag, when you use it, it automatically goes back in your inventory, which was why I care about it. Oop. There we go. Beautiful. And then crafting table. 3. White sleeping bag. Switch that out. Red dye. Sleeping bag. Lovely. Perfect. And we're slowly gathering lovely items. I need more leather before I can make a backpack, unfortunately, so I need to go back and kill those cows. Jeez, it's already been 20 minutes. Go back to spawn, kill those cows. Perhaps survive the pillagers, maybe kill a few of them. I don't know if that would be helpful to my situation or not. I couldn't say for certain. Maybe? I don't know. I genuinely don't know if that would help me out. And that's a decent cave. I may be able, once I get some armor. I need to craft some armor. I'm pretty sure we have crafting recipes for chainmail. I just have to look them up again. Chainmail. Yes. Okay, good, good, good. I remember boots. Yep. And then helmet. Chest piece was annoying. Yeah. Chest piece. And then pants requires 5, which leaves me with 1 stupid nugget. Boop, 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 boop. And this is the best armor we're gonna get the entire time, unfortunately. This is what we were gonna be wearing. I know I'm sprinting, but I just feel so slow. Okay, no pillagers nearby. None close to me. Fantastic. Lovely. Don't mind me. Don't see me at the end of your crossbow, pretty please. I just need these cows. Oh, you poor soul. Lovely. Okay. That's enough for 1 backpack and 11 hamburgers. So pretty good start. Boop. Eat a hamburger or 2. I want to attempt to go down this area. Oh, wait, hold on. I can make a spear. I have just the right amount of materials. We can make an iron spear, which is one of my go-to weapons, and it'll keep us alive in order to get to the bosses. So I'm gonna continue on that. My only goal is to one-shot the bosses. I'm perfectly fine with using other materials along the way for that. And other items. Okay, there's a little bit of XP for us to work with. Upgrade damage first and foremost. And then there's things up there. That's a spawner. We can make a rudimentary spawner. It's a skeleton spawner, too. Ooh, we might just do that. I took a lot of damage there just getting here. No. Okay. But that gives us a skeleton spawner to work with. Ooh, I wasn't swimming. Or flying. Jeez, okay. Oh, no. More things are spawning. And I am low health. Okay. I've already wasted through a few hamburgers doing that. And there's the cobwebs I need. Lovely. Free bucket, please and thank you. Fire protection, don't need that. There's redstone for our compass. And I don't know if we're gonna go for Ratatouille. I need to get to other biomes for that one, so I will grab the second piece just in case. I no longer have enough for a backpack, so we're gonna focus on the structure compass. And then I think I have the materials to do so. Let's make an iron hammer. And then quickly make a farm with this thing. With this little guy. I do need to get water for said farm, though. Oh, perfect. I just gotta hope that some more cows spawn, because we don't have that. I would like to get a second bucket, so I will waste the iron doing that. Which leaves me with one more piece, so we can make a second pike when this one inevitably breaks. Is this the right cave? Yeah. Although I can always mine some iron around the area. Or get some iron around the area. Let's start here. We want the skeletons to drop down to us. I seriously... I need a backpack, hold on. We seriously need a backpack. Barely. I just need a few cows. Just a few will do. Come on, cows! Sometimes... I hate that sometimes the music's so quiet and sometimes it's so loud. This one's a quiet song. Hold on, let me turn that up. Is that fine for stream? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's good. I just need cows. Those are sheep. Just need a cow. You know what? I probably should make a large backpack for us to get started. And then I can switch that out to a non-large one later. That's 11. I need 12 total. What's going on over here? Cows! Cows! Bonk. There we go. Lovely. Oh, I love better combat. Oh, I love better combat. Oh, that was it. Oh, well. That's 10 now. I just need one piece of wool, so I'm sorry, buddy. I'm gonna make sure I get that one piece. Haha. I need 2 more pieces of leather still. I'm sorry, bud. Ah, lovely. Perfect. Okay, great. Good to know. And when we get back, I put down a crafting table. I can actually use that one piece of iron for a stone cutter, which could help us out even more, actually. Because I can then put wood through the stone cutter with our mods. So let's throw some cobblestone. Reorganize some of this. Let's throw 3 cobblestone in there. And then crafting table down, we'll make a backpack. Starts with 1 string, leather, and then wool, and then you move the middle backpack. And now we have this giant backpack. It is 2 double chests plus a row. It is ridiculous, but it is very useful. I should have smelted this instead. We'll do that next. And then stone cutter down. And now we can make some trapdoors to keep ourselves safe. And also to filter water. Keep ourselves safe from all the skellies. And I'm not going to worry about hoppers right now. We don't really have the resources for that. Lovely mods, welcome to the show. Carry on is fantastic. I've gotten a little too high for this, but whatever. Only 3 planks. There we go. And then we've already expanded this too much then. So I need to start moving this up. And we'll see how much we can get this to drop down. Actually, with all the blocks I'm going to get from this, we can build this up as high as we need. We can't have it drop down too much, though, is the one issue. Because the skeletons are only 20 health, rather than the 100, or 85 health is what I usually deal with. So I think, we have to make this a 9 area space. And that should be enough. So that's 3 and 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then from here, 1, 2, 3. And then the spawner will go in the middle of this. And yeah. And then I need some fence gates to help this. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we can make fence gates. 4 will do, yeah. Or I could... Yeah, we can do 4. I think I know how to make that work. We do that. Because I was thinking I'd need a whole thing here, but this is probably for the best because of these blocks. And I don't need that one. Where's the best place for the water then? Because this doesn't reach all the way. So if I want you to go 3 over. So I need you to be like right there, right? No. Right there? Perfect, okay. And that means I need to adjust this. Like so. And build that corner piece out, so now... Is that perfect, or did I do it wrong? I did it wrong. One más. Let me expand this up, because I'm gonna need to anyway. Again, sometimes the music is loud, sometimes it isn't. Yeah, it's... There's no audio normalization at all, unfortunately. Is that... I need to see this. Is there an audio normalization setting? Settings. No. Downloads, privacy. No. Jeez. That sucks. I'm just gonna keep it about middle, so hopefully it's not too loud, not too quiet. Okay, there we go. And now let's try the water again. Is that perfect? Yeah, okay. And then from here, we want them to drop 3 blocks and then additional 3. 2, 3. I apparently have notifications on. That is my bad. And that's connecting to a cave, which is not something we want right now. And then I want to go up more from this. Please. Nope. Crafting tables downstairs. And I don't have more iron. So we need to actually go for iron. Thankfully we're in a cave with it, but I gotta deal with boys. Gotta deal with the bad boys. Yeah, hi, buddy. No. 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 Thank you. Goodbye. 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Jeez. What? Oh. I thought that was a sound alert. It was not. That was not. I couldn't even see that guy. Okay, 9, 10. Oh, even more. Perfect. Great, 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 great. I was very lucky that creeper didn't actually kill me. I took like 0 damage from that at all. Just a wee jump scare. Are there any guys down here? No. There's one. You have a backpack. That also means he has potion effects, but you have a backpack, sir. I want that backpack. I would love a free backpack. I could throw the large one we're using into this. You know what? I'm willing to get his attention. Or wait, hold on. Even better? Something even better that we can do? I mine over to him and then swipe at his feet. We're gonna do that. Oh. I just happened to mine in the one spot that had water. Oh, excuse me. Or what if we tempt him over? And then I block myself in and fight him. That could work. It's not a smart move to do with a ranged opponent, but I really want that backpack. I still think the best choice is just to go up to him. Okay. The water cave again! Get away from me. I just want to go to this guy. Okay, if this is the corner that he's in, I can mine right here. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, he was just over here. All that drain. I am not in the best position right now because he would be attacking my feet rather than the other way around. Where did he go? Oh, he's way up there. Okay. Slowly maneuver our way over. Stupid water. Come on. I just want to attack your toes. Where is this guy? Where? Oh, I'm like right next to him. Okay. Hi, dude. Yeah. Very slowly, because I'm pretty sure he has resistance. Wait, if we could block him in... I just want to help you fight me, buddy. That's it. Okay. I think this is the best we can do. No? Okay, right here. Well, I'm doing 4 damage at a time. That's not bad. I can upgrade more. Sir? Thank you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Bonk your toes. Yeah. Come on, one more hit. One more. There we go. Thank you. Your backpack, sir. What do you have in here? Ooh, even more looty. More gunpowder. I don't want the rest of this, though. So we'll throw it in here. We'll throw... bonk, bonk, bonk. And I just want one more piece of that. Okay. And now we can use this backpack on our back slot, and I can now click a different inventory button, and we can throw all the stuff in here instead. And then this is also upgradable. And then the large backpack can be purely used for the large amounts of blocks I'm getting. And then throw you in there with all that as well. What level of backpack is this? It's just a normal backpack. Okay. So I need copper first to upgrade this, or a lot more iron. I'm kind of low on the iron front, so let's gather a few pieces of copper. How many was it for copper backpack? A full 8. And then if you upgrade from copper to iron, then you only need 4 iron. So let's get that iron. Or get that copper. 4, 8. Okay, 9. Just need the 8. Oh, there we go. And then we could put you in there. Lovely. And now I have enough to make a nether hammer. Lovely thunder. Okay. No, thank you. Okay. And I'm gonna throw that stuff up there. I want to make another backpack eventually. I want to keep slots for backpack stuff as well. But we'll just throw looty stuff down here at the moment. And I'll keep gunpowder on me. And then this can also go up here. There we go, and there we go. And now we can already upgrade the backpack twice. We take you, full 8. And then add. Beautiful. Pop it on. And now that's a little bit more room to work with. Yeah, okay. And we can put 2 upgrade. There are 2 upgrade slots now. I want to put a crafting table, a furnace, and also get a stone cutter at some point. But I do need to get more leather for that. So we're not going to worry about it too much. Also, I'm not sure what song is playing right now. This is not the song I thought it was. I had a bunch of my songs transferred over to what I'm currently using. That is not the right thing. That is not correct. Okay, remove. I'll fix that later. Next song. Okay. And from here, I want to put 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boop. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Keep digging up. 1, 2, 3. We put the spawner right here. 1, 2. I need to go 1 more up. I'll stream loots. Thank you. And boop, boop. And then 1 more block that I can't quite do at the moment. Maybe I should whitelist stream loots to actually be able to say links. That's a problem. Stream loots, let me save you, buddy. You're being banned by Nightbot. Well, not banned, but... commands... Oh, who did I have? What did I have that under? I know something I have blacklisted. Or somehow I have it blacklisted. Dashboard, timers, integration, chat moderation. Whitelist entries, stream loots. There we go. Whitelist entries, stream loots. Yeah. Leave it as that. Alright, the next time stream loots won't get botted like that. Alright, lovely. And then keep moving this up the correct spot. And hopefully nothing attacks me while I'm doing this. Because I just need to very quickly do that. And it may be wise to do this for the moment. And then I'll make a staircase so I can actually get up here in a moment as well. Thankfully this can be mined out really easily in a 3x3 area. Maybe that's why it was made like that, honestly. Boop, boop. And attempt to fill in that space. And ah, jeez. Okay. I just want to make a farm. I just want my one punch build. I want to go fight the dragon. But we need to do this first. I'll try and stream as long as I can. I've been doing 4-hour streams because I've been streaming earlier. I don't know if we'll do a 4-hour stream. Because that'd be real late for me. I may pull it off one day, but that might not be today. 3 hours we can do, though. 3 hours I can pull. No. Do. Okay, lovely. So the entire area is set up at this point. I just need to get the spawner up here, place the water, and we'll be set. And boop. And we don't actually need like half of those. Oops. There we go. And yeah, okay, lovely. And a bunch of coal from that, thankfully. Boop. And still way too much extra stuff. And I hate having the empty slot there. Okay, let's take these back. And then take you two back as well. Yeah, okay, looks like they're going here for now. I'll take sleeping bag in inventory, we'll switch around some more stuff. Okay. And I do need one torch up there, so I don't immediately get clowned on. Oop. And grab us. Wait, take it all the way upstairs. Yes, this is overpowered. Do I care? No. This is how we make the best farms. No. You're not supposed to be spawning yet. To be fair, I did, like, immediately remove the torch. Okay. Handle you, and then handle the both of you. Oh. Okay. I don't have a really good way to get rid of that torch. I think what I can possibly get away with... Put you down there. There's still a torch right there. Remove all this. And remove the staircase. Grab all this. So we're nice and safe. And you know what? Let's do this instead. So the slight problem I have with that is they can see you. I don't think this works. Is also the issue. I think how I managed to make it work last time was I had slabs. So I think if I actually remove these three and then change... I know getting the toes works. I know this works. But the problem is how safe will I be while I'm doing it. I think I can deal with... I think I can handle it, though. And then I'm gonna mine back up there. From over here... Did I barely miss it? Yes. Okay, perfect. Lovely. And now the farm should be working. It's an hour in, we got a farm. I don't think that's that bad. I could have been faster about it for certain, but... There we go. Farm! It's easier than... It's just as easy as that. Oh, you have a music box. Give me that. Dream loots. You are doing this an awful lot. Hold on. Dream loots, you shouldn't be doing this often. I'm gonna... I don't want Minecraft to be full going while I'm doing this. Let me box myself off for safety. Yeah, they can't actually see me. Okay, this is perfect. So I do have to actually use all the stats in order for this to properly work. In order to upgrade anything. So that is one issue that's going to make this slower, but it should be fine. Our timer, configure chatbot. You are happening way too often. Enable every 45 minutes. That is not every 45 minutes. That was every 10 minutes. I will enable card and messages and purchase alerts, though. Okay, save changes. That's a little annoying. You've happened twice in not even 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm doing such little damage. I want to be doing far more than this. Thankfully, it's easy enough for me to survive this. But I need to get to a point where I'm one-shotting these guys. Oop. Touch attack speed as well. Attack speed, attack, and knockback, and health are going to be my main boys. These four up here. Speed and luck I have to use in order to upgrade everything else. But those are going to be the main guys. I should have thought of a way to fill the time. That would have been smart. Boop. 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 You know what I can do? What we can do? I'm just gonna draw. We're just gonna draw. MS Paint. We're gonna make you windowed. Full screen, windowed. MS Paint, do I still have you up in the top left corner? Can you show up? There we go, we have paint now. Okay, what do I want to draw? We can go with a skeleton study. I've been meaning to... There's a practice you can do in silhouetting out things. Well, I can't see... You know what? We're gonna do this. Hold on. I want to keep myself squirreled away. No. And then I want to give myself 2 more. Where's a... There you are. I want to steal one of these guys. And then we're just gonna make this hyper realistic. Oh, it changes to a random head every time. That's cool. We're just gonna look at this guy. I've kind of drawn... How tiny did I make? Oh, I have it cropped. I have it very cropped. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. So I want to do a study. We need to change the perspective of this then. I want to do a beautiful little study. Oh, what lights are we? There's like mostly light on the top. And then there's light below. And then there's also a little spot for the nose. But then the rest of it is lit up. Or the rest of it is dark. Like, you can already see the silhouette. This is a good practice. And it's something I've been meaning to do to build up my values. And then we use the lovely erase tool. There's this bit here. There's the eyes as well. And the mouth down here. What are other important features? Hello, Billy Bob! I have to wait on skeletons, so we are drawing. I'm doing a silhouette of the villager head in front of me, the villager skull. I'm trying to see what are like the most important details that I can catch. There's kind of like a curve down here. And there's something going on there. Or no, that's the opposite way. I need brush again. And it's just there. We are doing one punch build today, and we are doing our best. We managed to get a farm in pretty fast, though, which is fantastic. But there's only so fast that you can farm skeletons, and this isn't nearly enough. This is only one spawner, unfortunately. We got really lucky that I was so close to spawn, but how can we all make this more skeletal? Do that. There's like a little bump here on this side. Like, really show that off. I'm attempting, but it ain't going well. There is cracks on the... I love my voice cracking on the word crack. There are cracks on the top here. I've not been able to play your new Modpack yet, because I'm trying to 100% lend it to Zelda's Tears of Kingdom. Nice, I remember you mentioned that before. How's it going? Made any progress? And let's do like a little bit there. Kind of? Not really, though. There is also in the back. That's looking a bit better. BRB. Alrighty. Bye-bye, Billy Bob. Or, I'll see you in a bit, Billy Bob. Where did my... Did my pike break? Okay, we make a new one. Or I don't have the leather to make a new one. What okay, I'm making a sword then. I don't know what happened to my pike. Did I accidentally queue it? No, it just... Oh, it drains. Oh, that drains the sword. Oh, that is a serious drain. What drained that bad? I mean, I got a good amount of that. Jeez, okay. Oh yeah, I need to upgrade. Probably because it was hitting so many at once, too. Jeez, okay, my pike just got destroyed. Thank you, Kofi. Painting delayed. I need to go get leather. Is it nighttime? Yes. Okay. You may not rest now. There are monsters nearby. No, really? Boop. Let's situate ourselves right there. Alright. I haven't even drank my drink. And I don't need bows and bows and bows and bows. And large backpack for that. And yeah, we'll start throwing this in here as well. And soul stars are for the Lich, so we will keep those. I do need to go do the Lich boss. The Lich boss is easier. Lich boss and Void Blossom are easier than the Ender Dragon, depending on how far out they are, but they seem to be between 300 to 600 and 350 to 650. So they shouldn't be as bad as the dragon. But I do just want to be able to quickly one-punch everything, so we're aiming for the dragon first so I can make that Enderman farm. Is there... I just want cows. I just need leather. I mean, if we had... I wish we had a zombie farm. Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure I still kept... Did I keep it? Hold on. Did I get rid of it? Yes. Okay, never mind. In the mod pack, there used to be a mod of smelting rotten flesh in order to get leather, but I did get rid of it. So we're just back to cows. It's a... Come on, cows! It's amazing that all those It's amazing all those skeletons just immediately broke my pike, and my sword is almost dead too. That's just crazy to me. No! Fast tiny cow. There we go. I'll just go back to one-shotting them. There we go. Lovely. In the spirit of the challenge. And I'll make a pike that we will... Oh. There you go. I will make a pike that we can use in but a moment. Or not pike, spear. I keep calling it a pike. I'm thinking of the pike, which I can make. I'm just using a spear instead because I prefer it. Pike is two-handed 2. The spear is two-handed level 1. So there is a definitive difference between those, and the pike's a lot slower, even though it is more damage. And it is farther attack speed, so I might upgrade to it one day. It's another, like, not netherite pike. It is 2 pulls to make, though. But it is farther attack. Is it more durability? I wouldn't know. I would think maybe it is, because this is the spear. This is a diamond spear, 9 attack damage, 1.6 attack speed, and 4 range. And then the diamond pike is 12 attack speed, 1.1 attack speed. It's 12 attack damage, 1.1 attack speed, and 4.5 attack range. I might switch out to that then, genuinely. Because the reason we go for the pike is the armor piercing, or the spear. Pike is the same thing, but just slightly better. Can I upgrade anything else? What? I need to upgrade knockback, that's what it was. There's just barely any cows. It's giving me everything but. That sucks. I'm getting a lot of food out of this, but will be out of bread. So that ain't good. I can always cook it for steak, but the hamburgers are better. It's just the fact that they're more resources. You know what? Horse would probably be easier with just a sword. Yeah. Sorry, buddies. I need leather. Cows! All the cows. Lovely. Please, 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 please. I need a lot of leather. Also, all the little green particles you're seeing going across the screen are the levels of the enemies. So everything's about level 0, level 1. Yeah, they're 14 health. Come on, come on. No, no, no. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. I got a cow head. Lovely. Get whacked. Get wonked. Get flonked. Get shonked. Shlonk. Shlonk. Oh, free waystone. Hello. Pretty please. That's a dungeon over there. If I want a better dungeon, we could always do that. Because that would have multitudes of spawners for me to make a farm out of. Because that is part of the problem of the skelly spawner we have right now. That could always fix it. I wonder, like, what's the max amount of spawners you could put in one little area and make an efficient farm out of it? That genuinely has me curious. Okay, we have more than enough. We got more than enough leather now. I do need wool again. I was completely ignoring the sheep. I didn't even think about that. Hello, guys. I just need your wool. And your wool. And your wool. And yours as well. And yours, pretty please. And yours. And yours. Lovely. Thank you. You don't... Oh, I don't have the ability yet. I might as well come over here and get this guy. Pretty please. And then, you, pretty please. Lovely. Brown sheep. Oh, you already regained your wool. Pretty please. Thank you. This... Oh, there's an illager trying to get me. No. Oh, no! I can only move so fast! I haven't upgraded my speed yet. I'm not a speedy boy. Just let me and my pancake wings go bye-bye, okay? I'm gonna keep going this way. I'm gonna just bounce along this way. That is my favorite thing about being an Elytrian. Hands down. Just the fact that I can Elytra hop absolutely everywhere. I wish Origins updated to newer versions. I really want to add it to Passion SMP, but it has not updated for 1.21.7. I'm keeping an eye out. I seriously want to. It just hasn't done that. Okay, let's pack ourselves back in. And reorganize things. And then this singular piece of flint, make a flint and steel for later on. And then I want to make a few backpacks. I know I want to make one more for loot. I'm not sure what I want to make the other one for at this present moment, but I will make 2 more. Okay, 4, 8. And then 8 again. And then I need 2. Let's do this. I messed it up again. There's like a 50-50 chance that I mess it up every single time I go to make a backpack. That's one medium backpack, and then that's a second medium backpack. I want to make one for a looty that we will dye blue later. And another one for... We'll do another one for miscellaneous. That used to be a system I used a lot, so I'm gonna go back to it. I used to do a system of one backpack, or whenever I started a world, I would have one backpack, I would have one chest for blocks, another chest for foodstuffs, nature, and then one for miscellaneous. So let's go about that. So you can be miscellaneous. Oh no, they're starting to attack each other. How quick until this sword breaks? Not that fast. Okay. And then upgrade a little bit more of that. I do want to try and steal... I am back. Hello, Billy Bob! Oop. Let's... I need to throw in more of that. Oh no, this is the wrong backpack. You are the miscellaneous. And then the looty can go in here, and soul stars can go down here, because this leads us to the lich. And it's used to start the lich in the first place. Backpack. This came from a skeleton earlier. Gunpowder, second bucket, other side, and blocks. I'm not sure, I don't know if I actually want to take the jukebox upgrade. I take it, but I never genuinely use it. Boop, boop. And then this backpack for that. Lovely. And then we can sit here yet again, because I need more skellies. So let's window this. I'm missing 20 out of the 509 of the Hyrule Compendium. Uh-oh. Jeez. I feel like that's one of those situations you have to, like, slowly go back and forth again, huh? Because I remember hating that in the Sly Cooper series. Always the stupid little... The stupid little clue bottles. I'm looking at the sword, not at the skull. I want to look at the skull. F3 escape? No. Let's do F3D so I can get rid of chat and then purely look at the skull. I know which ones I'm missing. Oh, that's a lot more helpful. Sly Cooper doesn't give you anything. It just gives you a very tiny clinking notification. You just hear clink, 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 and I hated it. Made it a little bit easier to find, but not really. I feel like if we add to this, we can define the nose a little more. Because right now it's not looking like a nose. There we go, that's starting to look like a skull, kind of. What other... There's like a third value here that I can't quite get. So I'm just trying to go full black and white. What if I did this instead? I also need to, like, straighten out these lines, because this is not in the slightest. What song is this? Opinions by CG5. Oh, I did not mean to mute it. It's an older meme song, but it's still great. Back before CG5 was... I mean, this was kind of like a calling card for CG5 in the animation meme era. Oh no, they're fighting each other again. Stop it. Stop it. A lot of you. Yeah, iron weapons go by fast. But I am getting the experience we need. And it maxes out at 8, so I need to start upgrading other stuff again. This entire area really is dark. This was just me attempting to get more definition. That's starting to look more like a skull now that I just got rid of those. There is a little bit of value here. And then... No, the moment I add the mouth, it stops looking like a skull. Thank you, Nightbot. There is a little spot here as well. I don't even have it up anymore. There we go. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom for 5 days straight. Damn. Honestly, most of my time has just been into the last Amalgamation challenge we did. The bingo challenge. Like, 100% of my time went into that. I was working on that for one reason or another, and if I wasn't, I was just taking a little bit of time to myself. It'd probably be a game on my phone. Or... little bit of Roblox here and there, not a lot, but it's still 99 nights. They did update it, so I can now actually move the things in my base, which is a great thing. I like being able to move the things I place. I would have appreciated having it sooner, but it's great to have it now. At this point, I'm just trying to trim out the skull and make it actually look like it's from the block game. That's not too bad. It kinda sucks. That's not too bad. I think what I can do, if I remove it and place it again, will it be a new one, or is it always gonna be a villager skull? It just says skeleton skull. Now it's normal. If I move it over here, no. Stop fighting each other. I need the XP, you don't. Which thing do I need? Oh, I need to touch... No, I can't touch speed. Which thing? Oh, I don't have the experience stuff or anything, that's why. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I just want to get a different kind of head. Just different kind of head, please. Oh, that's different. Okay. I just want to see the cute little piglin. A new time. A new skeleton study. Wait, you know what? Actually, forget the skeleton study. This is a specialty I used to do when I was bored in middle school. And I still have a lot of these. What I used to do is I would take note cards and then make Zentangles on them. And it's an old specialty of mine. Draw whatever and keep going for it. I want like a square... I want a square brush. Oil brush? Are you square? No. Marker. Oh, you're good. You're good enough. Can I layer the marker? I don't like the layering is the problem. Crayon? Watercolor? Is the watercolor layering? Yes. Natural pencil. No. Calligraphy pen? You know what? Yeah, I just want it to be blocky. But I don't want it to overlap. I just... okay, fine. We use you. Can you guys... Let me change. There we go. And then let me readjust. Dude, there we go. And I'll make him a little smaller. And just have fun with little Zentangles. Just draw whatever. My inclination is always to go for a leaf. Let's try some line variation here. Go with a smaller pen so I can really build on this later. Not quite that. Let's go 4. I don't want to be able... I want to be able to use the same size to easily build on later. There we go. maybe a little bit like that. There we go. Something a little tropical. And I want to add a border around this. And maybe not like that. I might have to do 2 separate lines for this to get this right. There we go. And why not put a little dot at the end? Maybe petals? Or this little rounded design. Looks like I can only see 99% of Tears of the Kingdom. Oh no. What is it you're missing? Also, why is it not showing what I'm currently drawing? MS Paint title, what? Is it really not going to show all this that I just drew up here? Why is that out of frame? There we go. I don't know why that was out of frame. There we go. And let me bonk all these guys real quick. And upgrade attack speed. I want to get to my goal is get to 50 or so damage before we move on. 50 damage I can definitely accomplish at this farm, and that'll keep us alive for the rest of this. Although my pike's definitely gonna die really quickly here. Also, I'm pretty sure what we can do is I can get extra sticks if I throw it through the stonecutter. Yeah! That's a lot better. Okay. And then I want 2 and 2. I have no idea what the durability difference is between the pike and the sphere. The pike and the spear. But we're about to find out. Okay. I'm gonna tap. Durability, 250, 250. Okay. But it does better attack damage, so I won't be able to... won't need to use it as much. But we'll see how well it actually plays. Alright, back to my little Zentangle. Let's just continue on with the leaves. I'm having fun with leaves. And I want to make that a little believable. There we go. Maybe that one's a little curved downward. There we go. And use the lines to really build that volume. Oh, someone has a music disc. Shut up. Who is it? Who is it? You have it. Turn that off. Thank you. Somebody has a soul star, but we'll get plenty of those, so I'm not too worried about grabbing that. Little line. Oh. Little line. Beautiful. And another doot. Maybe this one. Droplets. By the way, I have not hooked up anything. I'm just doing with this with a mouse. That was beautiful. I love that. Okay. I like that a lot. Add a little line weight there. Maybe a little bit here as well to define those two. And I want to add some between these and some between this to really bring some variance to it. Line weight doesn't matter your stroke, it matters your process. It's all about the process. There we go. This is MS Paint. But we'll get there. Nope, not the pickaxe. I've got to take a picture of a slug I like, which is only a story monster, so I can't get it. Oh, that hurts. Oh, it's broken. I imagine you have to do everything over again if you want to get it. Oh, that's not what I want to click. That hurts. Yeah. That sucks. Is that even cropped right? Oh, no, that's fine. Okay. Let's do a leaf over here. I don't know why this is my go-to shape for leaves. Bet it is. I feel like this is probably curved up a lot. Ah, glorious song. Perfect for the skeleton farm. You know what? I don't feel like that's correct for how this leaf is formed. Hold on, let me rethink this. I'm thinking like this kind of structure for that half of the leaf, but then this one falls apart, because what is this happening? What is happening here? Maybe it's doing this. That makes more sense for what I was originally envisioning. And then curve that up and over. Beautiful. I wonder, can I pester my mod to join us? Can I pester them? Are they at work right now? I need to check. I pester them every time I stream, and so it's gotten to a point where they just send me their work schedule. Yeah, wait. Yeah! I'm gonna pester them. I'm gonna give them a little pss. Pumpkin. Pss. There we go. I had caps lock on. Whatever. I have pestered them. Let's see how long before the stream departs. And boop. And let's do a little bit of line weight here. And around there. There we go. I feel like I lost the line a little bit there, so let's re-add one. I'm kind of leaning towards the light being somewhere in the upper right-hand corner at this point. I kind of hate I added these now, but we'll deal with it. I'll keep up the charade of petals. And petals would look better if I literally just did this, honestly. Because they just look like horrible frills otherwise. Let's just do that. And just assume that I did this first batch horribly, okay? Instead of changing it halfway through. A boop, a boop, a boop, a boop. That was so spiky. No. No! I'm slowly redo this. Also, I do not even have a mouse pad for this right now. I am using a watercoloring pad as my mouse pad at the moment, and it works surprisingly well, except for this little piece is glued on. So there is a tiny, like millimeter tall spot where the mouse gets stuck. So as long as I keep the mouse on the bottom of the pad, it's fine. And it works surprisingly well. I kind of hate how well it's been working. Get bunked. Upgrade health. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, yeah, even the iron pike's going down fast. I might as well just save myself the materials and make myself stone swords. Because it's just gonna save the durability. Because we gonna be here a minute. The only problem is I can't reach with that. What's a stone weapon that I can reach with? I need attack range. Attack range of you is 2.5. I've been using a box for mine. That's fair. Honestly. Because a stone spear will also take a pole, which is why I don't want to make it. I just need... stone longsword. Yeah, okay, we'll make stone longswords from now on. Hopefully the sword actually goes by really quick. Oh, you're like a piglin! You're a cutie! Can I upgrade health? Anything else? No, I don't have the levels. Okay, back to Zentangles. And let's add a line weight to the bottom of each of these. And how do I want to build off of this? Maybe it's petals that are falling off. Oh no. I don't want to leave a pixel empty there. Wonderful. I hate there's a little pixel right there, though. I want to make this one bigger. I keep... Apparently I can only do that in this direction. And now I can't even do it. There we go. I just want to do it like that. There we go. And that's not enough to get anything done yet. Slowly trailing down. What direction do I want this petal to be? Maybe like, yeah, like that. Thank you, Nightbot. Yeah. I'll do. That's calling it a little close, but I'm fine with that. Boop, fix that line. And I want to build up the line weight in the middle of this. And then down here. And along the bottom of that. No! And build just a little bit down there. I think that might be enough. There we go. Yeah, deplete the stone sword. Destroy the sword. A lot of you, come forward. Come forward. Thank you. Deplete. Destroy the stone sword. Destroy it. Come here, sir. Destroy the stone sword. Stone sword. Next time I have a sword... next time I have a sword, I'm gonna name it Stored. Why not? Longsword. Oh, that's a great sword. Longsword. Okay. Longsword ain't that bad in general, actually. That's... for a stone weapon, that's really good attack damage and speed. What was a diamond's longsword like? 17 attack damage, 1.8 attack speed. That's 3 attack range. It's not nearly as good as my good old favorite, the spear, because it has armor piercing, but it does have sweeping. I hate the fact you can get max hearts in Tears of the Kingdom, but not stamina, or max stamina, but not max hearts. Jeez. I have like so many weapons in my inventory for a one-punch build, but it's fine. You, sirs, come forward. Come to me. I want to break this stone sword. Thank you. What can I upgrade? Knockback. Attack speed, luck. Okay. Boop. 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 Break the sword. Almost. One more! But one more, please. Thank you. Oh, boop. There we go. Oh, the longsword feels great for combat. Wait, how do I hold that? Hold on, that covers my entire screen. How do I hold that? Ooh. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. They knew what they were doing. They knew. Oh, that's great. Okay, back to my Zentangle. You know, let's add another one. Maybe this one's like completely full for the season. Oh, we are building lore with these now. This one's fully done. This one's growing its petals, and this one is too. And this one's fully grown. Ah, we have lore for the Zentangle. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I'm loving this. I want to make it seem like it's drooping down and hanging off the sides of this leaf. Ah, there we go. Gorgeous. This one kind of sucks, admittedly, because of how I made that. Hold on. Let's fix you three. So this is a lot more concise. Oh wait, let's start with you. And then start with you. And then do you. And then do you. There we go, that's gorgeous. Oh, beautiful. I love it. So for 39 years in the Legend of Zelda games, we've been playing as Link, but the newest Legend of Zelda game, we finally play as Zelda. Hell yeah! Let her be the girl boss that she is! There we go. I want upgrade this. Now upgrade? No. Boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, the longsword's already almost dead. Wow. Boop, boop. Back up. The longsword shouldn't be as good as it is. I love it. That's great. Okay, boop. Let's get that little texture there. I want to add a little shadow here. Shadow it. So we can really feel that. And then pull in. Close. Beautiful. No, we want to do that. There we go. Lovely. Okay. What next? Maybe do little fields of these droplets down here. It's a Zentangle, it doesn't have to make sense. It just gotta exist, it gotta be you. There's a reason I made so many of these. They're just really easy to randomly draw out. fill in that space back there. And that's how I drew that, so let's do another one right there and fill in that tiny spot. And let's do a bloop, a big old bell right there, and maybe another right there. And we bonk some skellies in the middle of it. Oh, it's broken. Bonk some skellies in the middle of it. And upgrade our damage even more. I will one-shot you all soon enough. I am almost there to one-shotting them, but I do want to have 20 damage. Not 10. I do have 10, though. Whoop. Oh, whoop. Nope. Oh, whoop. Oh, woo. Oh, woo. No. Whoop. Perhaps a whoop? Nope. Which makes sense because it's called The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Zelda is the wisdom part of the Triforce. Oh yeah, right. Honestly, there are two things that come to mind when I think of Zelda, and neither of them have anything to do with the actual games. We have a really, really old Super Mario Bros. Cartoon disc? Movie disc? A collection of the series? And there's an ad in the front of it for a Zelda show. Where Link's some pretty boy who talks. Stream loots! I told you to stop doing the supports. What are you doing? Streamloots. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. I don't like these two. I drew them way too randomly. Let's do this. I like these guys better. There we go. Beautiful little corner spot. Let's add some line weight to these few. Let's put more pressure on that central one. Link talking, that's a first. Yeah. Streamloots has a bot. I have turned off its promotion, but it's still going. As a chatbot, so when somebody plays a card or subs, it'll show up, but... Enabled promotion message? Yeah, it's turned off. I have you turned off. I have card alerts on, purchase alerts on. Legendary card attained alert. Enable ranking? No. Turn that off. Subs alert? Yes. Mario jump. And the other thing I think of when it comes to Zelda stuff is, unfortunately, the creepypasta Ben. Or I think that's what he got nicknamed? Or the drowned kid? No, it's not drowned. It's one of the creepypastas. But those are just the two things I think of. The stupid, corrupted Zelda case. I'm pretty sure the creepypasta's nicknamed Ben. I think he is. I'm almost certain of it. Ben drowned. Okay, so I was right. Cool. Yeah. It's been a hot minute since I paid attention to creepypasta stuff. I know my favorite is still... Clockwork. She pretty lady. She gorgeous. And... I know I had another one, but I don't remember what... I think it was another girl. I don't remember what it was. But I know I had another one with... Clockwork. Oh... Yeah, it's just not in this... It's not in the creepypasta fandom, but it is a creepypasta. The Russian sleep experiment, if anybody remembers that one. And it's subtly, very subtly, influence pieces of my work. Because early Mew designs were actually loosely inspired from the creatures of the Russian sleep experiment. Or the lankiness of the bodies, to be precise. Let's do that. There we go. Let's do another one here going this direction. And then we'll fill in that bottom space. Hello, are you boys ready? Hey, bonk. And it broke. It broke it immediately. Jeez. Look how fast that durability goes down. Yikes. I know it's stone, but the iron one was just as bad. Okay, upgrade again. Okay, so it takes 6 experience every time I want to upgrade right now. Lovely. Back to this. A bloop. A bloop. And I can make that seem like it's on that area is on purpose by doing just a little bit of schwonk there. And a little bit of schwonk there. And fill in that bottom portion. And then a little bit of emphasis there. And let's bloop there, and then fill that in. And maybe we start doing tiny ones back here. A bloop, and a bloop. No. No! What buttons have I clicked? There we go. I just want my tiny Zentangles. And we do another baby there. Bloop. For me, it's between Jane the Kill Clockwork and B.O.B. I don't remember B.O.B. For some reason, I feel like that's the dog, but I don't think that's right. Oh, another backpack. What have you? Nothing. Upgrade. I can't. Okay. Let's get health up and everything else up again. Oh, that just completely blocks everything. There we go. And let's do some even farther back here. I want to start making this feel like we're in the middle of a giant tree. Because you never actually see the ends of any of these. I want this to just be a giant tree. There's a bunch of these. Thank you, Nightbot. The best drawings are the ones that suddenly have a lot of lore for no reason. Oh, bloop. 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 No. No. Get whacked. Get wonked. Get schlunked. Get bonked. Yonk. Get honked. Yonked. Yonked. Thank you. Oh, I can save my computer. Lovely. I'm already gonna have to craft. I should just start crafting the long swords in pairs. Smile dog. Okay. Then what's Bob? I don't think I've heard of that one. Admittedly, I mostly know the popular ones. Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, Slenderman. It's sad I'm struggling to think of more of them. Admittedly, the most I was in the Slenderman, not Slenderman fandom, the creepypasta fandom, was Pinterest, and then that one guy who drew the pictures while telling a story with like those Copic marker sets that every young artist wanted, and then those young artists became digital artists. Me. That was just me. Although I tend to do a lot of traditional nowadays, just because it's easier to get done a lot of the time. It's a lot easier for me to just grab a sketchbook than it is to set up my drawing software, set up my pad. Although I do adore having the pad. Jeez, ouch. Been sitting so long. That doesn't help it's hot as hell in my room either. Also, we've been going for almost 2 hours? God damn. Jeez. Let's do a pair again. Heroine is one. I don't know that one either. I think I only knew like a very few popular ones. I felt like I was in more of the fandom, but I guess I might have just been watching from the sidelines. See that one... Insert that one dumpster fire pit going down the street meme. Oh, Herobrine. Yeah, Minecraft. With blues mobs, every now and again, Herobrine will spawn. Or a zombie one will be retextured to look like Herobrine. So while I was getting XP in order to test the one-punch thing, I saw Herobrine multiple times because I was spawning a bunch of zombies in order to get the XP that I needed. We no longer use blues mobs, but that's a thing. It's really funny to just look over and see in the pit of horrible zombies. Herobrine, staring right back at you. Random zombie. Then, oh, I need to get rid of you because of the way I've decided this works. Whoop. Okay, yeah, you get banned. Yeah, okay. Hello, you. Where's mod actions? Mod actions. Warn, timeout, banned, goodbye. I don't care if you're real, I don't care if you're a bot. If that's your first message, nah, I'm not dealing with you. You don't even get a chance, no. Bloop. Little bloops. And get bonked. And a schwonked. Oh, I have levels. Bonked. Bonka. Bonka. No, come over here, y'all. Get bonked. And I almost have 2 rows of health. This is gonna get really absurd, really... What's it gonna look like when I have 200 health? Because that is the goal. I would love to have 200 health. That is my goal. I had that. I don't know how that's gonna work out. Whoop. Oh, I haven't been drawing the little petal curves on any of these. Let's give you a little petal curve. And then you get a petal curve. 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 Bloop. Bloop. A little bloop there, and a little bloop there, little bloop up there, little bloop here, little bloop there. Little bloop for you, and you, and you. Nope. You. And even you. And then this guy gets a big old bloop. You get a wonkus bloop. And then you get a bloop. And so do you. And you. Nope. There we go. Lovely. And you get a petal curve. And you get one as well. Bloop. Boop. There we go. There we go. Lovely. Where go from here? I want to try and get more implied detail around. So I think at this point we're just going to be drawing a lot of little leaves. Like this. Just keep doing it over and over until we have a huge amount of implied detail. Nina the Killer, Sally Williams, Eyeless Jack! Yeah, the Rake, Laughing Jack. Mr. Widemouth, Slenderman, Scarecrow, Nurse Ann, Laughing Jill, Hoodie, Masky, Tiki Toby, and Bloody Painter. That's Bloody Painter! I think that was the other one I liked. That sounds about right, anyhow. Sounds like it would be. I'm searching this, hold on. Bloody Painter feels correct. Creepy Pasta Bloody Painter. Do I recognize your face? Yes. Bloody Painter was the other one. Bloody Painter and Clockwork. Oh hey, someone has other side. I want that. So definitely not Ender Dragon today, but, you know. Search up Bob? Okay. Let's find this creepypasta. Creepypasta. Bob. Bob? I didn't know Bob. Brutal, obscene beast. Yeah, I didn't know him. I searched up creepypasta Bob, and half of these are SpongeBob. It's Squidward. But yeah, I never heard of the Bob one. I think I might have heard the name before, but that's the closest I knew of him. Okay, skeleton. Drop your bag, sir. Come here. Come here. Thank you. This is the one... Yeah, Suicide Squidward. Yeah. I know someone made a game where Squidward just goes insane and kills everybody. And just starts killing everybody. And you have to, like... I think you have to play as SpongeBob and save, like, Patrick and Sally or something. Weirdness. Bye-bye. Alright, Billy Bob, bye-bye. Good luck with Tears of the Kingdom. Run two! Run two! Run two! Alright. How much implied detail can I get in this thing? Let's find out. Why is... Oh, no, it's Spotify playing other side. It wasn't the skeleton backpack. It's Spotify. I apologize, VOD watchers. That is, yeah. That is not the game. You are not going insane. The audio is not broken. I am broken and didn't check my music to see if it was in fact actually playing on my music, which it is. This doesn't even have to be correct. It just has to look correct at a glance. Okay, it doesn't even look correct at a glance. Let me fix that. You don't look right. If I did this, then you'd look like right. Let's see if I can get even just a tiny little dash on these little ones. I want... Is it putting the playlist in order? Yes, it is. Okay, that's why. Where's next song? There we go. Lovely. Thank you, Kofi Bot. Boop, bloop, 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 bloop. Nope. This has ended up just being a very much so vibe stream with me doodling. I need to do this more. Next time I might grab a coloring book page or something. I have a bunch of coloring books over here. I think I might just scan one and then we can do that. Can you even do layers on MS Paint? I don't know. We'd very much so have to color within the lines then. Because MS Paint, my actual drawing software I use doesn't work well with streaming on OBS. It just does not. It doesn't like it. It flickers out, so I have to do a full screen share. Which would mean the game would be up double. So, I prefer to do MS Paint when possible. I feel like I need to start overlaying some of these. Because it definitely looks like I'm drawing around these foreground objects, rather than these are foreground objects of a bigger background. So that is definitely a problem we have right now. And then I need to start also drawing... What? Let's go. I'm getting a bunch of notifications. And I need to draw more little petals. And maybe you got a bunch. And maybe you just have little ones. And maybe you have little ones. And maybe you have a bunch of big boys. And that ain't right. There we go. I need to cross over as much of this as I can. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, need to swipe the skellies. What do I need to hit? I can't hit anything, so I don't have the XP to do it. Oh, I'm out of... Yeah. I don't have weapons no more. Boop, boop. Give me those, thank you. And I have a bunch of stuff I do not need. That was a gold backpack, hold on. Hold on, I want that actually. Do you have a gold? You have a gold backpack, okay. We'll switch out for that one. I mean, I won't say no to this upgrade. A golden apple. Yeah, I'll take that. You guys can have all that. And then we're grabbing all of this. And we'll switch. Bonk. Bonk. Beautiful. Large, which one are you? Medium, you are the miscellaneous medium. Bonk. Doot, doot, doot. No, doot. Oh, I need backpack stuff first. Boop, boop, boop. And then boop, 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 boop. you, and you. Wonderful. I have all the space. This is as much as we need. I don't need anything more than this. Also, I'm gonna memorize all those things so they stay in those places. So if I do this, it goes right back up. Wonk, wonk. I'm not getting a law anymore. We started really well, but I'm now... Okay, I need to upgrade knockback. Just a little bit more. I just want a little bit more. I want to get us up to 20. I'm not expecting this will take a lot of streams. We're not going to be streaming every day for this unless I'm absolutely scrambling, which I don't plan on being. How this is going to end up working out is we will go back to streaming normal days, Sunday, Wednesdays. Today is currently Sunday. By Wednesday, I'm going to continue to AFK this off camera. By Wednesday, we'll have a decent amount of damage, and we'll go get a better skeleton farm. And hopefully at the end of that... I'm not even sure if we need a better skeleton farm than this. I don't know if I need to make a second one. I would actually want to. Because... depending on how much I can get here, there's only so much XP I can get from this as well. Before it starts seriously getting bad. Because once you get past 100, you need 20 XP every single level. So I'll get myself to player level 100. We are currently at 54. So yeah, there's not much more I can do than this. Actually, I might as well end it here then, because we're just going to be sitting here then. I will save this as a PNG. And I will put this in stream... put this as stream doodle 713. There we go, beautiful. I'm gonna continue to do this off camera. By next stream, I will be player level 100, and hopefully that will mean I'll have a good amount of damage at that point. And we will go after the next Skella farm. I want this to be far out. I want to go out to the stronghold and then pick a Skella dungeon pretty close to that. Actually, what is the closest Skelly dungeon? While we're here, what is the closest Skelly dungeon? Because there's the young skeleton dungeon. It's 2,500 out. My camera covers it, by the way. I don't know. Is there something I can fix so it's not actually covered? Hold on. Compass. Explorer's compass. There is no config, so I can't... It's on the left side of my screen. I wish it was on the right. It isn't. But I assure you, if I unlock my camera, it is behind me. It is 2,530 away. That is really good. That could mean they're about 80 or so health. And I can get serious damage off of that. That was the kind of that was the level of Skell farm we were using in the bingo challenge. I got myself to 200 damage and 100 health on that. And it wasn't difficult. It took me like an hour. So we'll move and do that. I want to... I don't know if we'll get Ender Dragon. Yo, welcome. I don't know if we'll get Ender Dragon next time. I'm tempted. Because I want to... You know what? Let's see... Let's get what we can from here, right now. Because I want to have Ender Dragon by day 2. I'm looking for a duo. Want to play hardcore with me? I'm looking for a duo. Sorry, hardcore is only for the sake of this challenge. I'm not a hardcore person typically. Although you're welcome to try this mod pack. I don't want to do Ender Dragon second stream. I would love to I want to do Ender Dragon by the end of the second stream. That is the goal. And then I can do Enderman farm off camera, and third stream we get all the other bosses. That is the goal. I kind of want to head out to that skeleton dungeon and then fight whatever we can along the way. And then I'll quickly make the farm on camera and then call it a day. That will take time. It'll take a good minute of time. But I think that is one of the best courses options. Are there any other soul stars there? No, okay, that's fine. What levels can I put into right now? Attack speed. Okay, wonderful. Land. Thank you. Also, hardcore single player. That just occurred to me. Hardcore single player. How are you doing duo hardcore? Anyway. We need to head out this way. Can I attack those pillagers? Let's switch the pike. How well can I handle the pillagers? I should be able to handle them pretty well. This is a little loud. Music's a little loud for me. There we go. I want to hear myself think. Let's try our hand at the pillagers, and then we'll decide from there what we can do. Because I guarantee just bonk. Yeah. Because this is the iron pike, not the iron spear. So this should do pretty good damage. The only problem is my armor, which we do need to get upgrades for at some point. That is a thing. Oh, lag. Lovely, 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 lovely. Yeah. Yeah, game? I'm elytra hopping with ease. You want to fix yourself real quick? Thank you. Lovely, okay. Bonk. I think I missed him earlier. Okay, that's a witch's hut. And the rest of this is pillagers. I don't know where they all went. There's nobody here. Pillager murmurs. Oh, that's a thing over there too. We should go loot that next. As long as there's not even a pillager here. Excuse me? Oh, you're stuck down there. Okay, yeah, you're fine. Heart pendant increases the wearer's movement speed after taking damage. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah. It's not gonna affect melee damage, but it's not only melee challenge, it's the melee challenge. Oh, pillager head. So that took 2 hits. I'm not upset by that in the slightest. I have enough attack speed that we can get away with. That's a witch? Okay. That's cool. I like that design. That fits in with the pillager stuff. I love that. I adore that. That's cool. Okay. You're a cow. Over here, buddy! Schwunk. I need to hit a village for bread at some point, too. I want more hamburgers. We don't have a lot of food. No? I see the block. That did that. That moved that. There we go. Just want to access. There we go. Lovely. Okay. That's a cool banner, but I'm not gonna keep it. I don't know if we want to go. Ratatouille's really good food. Oh, these are sticky pistons. Never mind. Ratatouille, to make it, you need to make olive oil, which does require 2 pistons to make a food processor. I've never... Okay. I think that was supposed to hurt me. Oh, yeah. Diamonds? Yeah, sure. Piercing, fire aspect. You know what? Those... I hesitate on using... Oh, I can't even get over the side. Words. I hesitate on going for enchantments, because I need armor enchantments, but weapon enchantments... I'm not sure if we need weapon enchantments, is the issue. Because I do need weapons to get myself to a point where I don't need them. As contradictory as that is. But I don't know. Nah, I'll leave it. Hi, buddy. Okay, yeah. I love this. Bonk. I could probably one-punch several things at this point. Can I punch? Where's the chicken? You know what? There's cows over here. I need cows anyway. Can I punch the cow? One punch? Yeah! This is what this build is about! Lovely. Okay, cool. We carry on. I have yet to see any sugarcane or paper that I need for right there. That I need for rockets in order to make this journey a lot faster. So let's grab you. And that should give us a few rockets at least. I can actually make some powerful rockets. Hold on. I'm not sure if I want to go for more powerful rockets or rockets in general, because I could do this. Let's go powerful rockets right now, just because of how little paper I have. I want to make sure we travel a longer distance. Because this is flight level 3, and this will push me for quite a bit. And we need to get far off. There's a village! It's surrounded by pillagers. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh, you poor things. Let me get that. Let me help. Oh, you... Oh, that's a cute cat. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I love the iron golem. That's so cool. Sir, you look so cool. You even have pink eyes. Hey, bonk. I love the reach on this thing. Hey, bonk. Lovely. Hello, how are you? Can I punch you out yet? Not a one punch. 3 punch, okay. So we'll stick with the pike, because there's a witch following you, or something. How did you have potion effects, then? If you don't have a witch following you? That's interesting, okay. Oh, you had a yeah, right. I saw the backpack drop and didn't even think about it. What? Oh, music is playing, yeah. Nether waste stone for me! I don't think I can one-punch the cows anymore. No. Yeah, the minute we get away from spawn, I am suddenly not nearly as powerful. And that's what I was worried about. That's why we need to go get the Skelly farm right now. I shouldn't have been as comfortable as I was sitting in that farm. Although it was a really good start for us. Okay, look up. You have a backpack, and I need to get rid of you first, because you have potion effects. I don't need pillager heads or emeralds, I just need this stuff. And possibly whatever is in these backpacks. You have string. You also have string. And then I don't need those. Are there any more pillagers? There's one guy over there. Get wrecked. I picked up an emerald. There's nothing in the cage. And diamond. Yeah. Wait, paper! I didn't even realize. Okay, valuables. And then we'll make regular rockets from now on. Those are regular rockets, but we're gonna try and burn through these ones first. After I get more wheat. I do see... Oh, hi. Goodbye. I do seriously need wheat and hay bales. I prefer to just directly steal hay bales, though. Hay bales. Yeah, you're fighting an illager. You got that, buddy. You got that. You have it. I believe in you. You got this. Hay bales. Oh, this house has good stuff. This is the blacksmith one. There we go, thank you. And there's also a back part. You have... Oh, an anvil actually is very helpful. Lovely. And there's more stuff in here, furnaces and such. No, I don't want anything from here. I don't know why I went around that way. I could have gone around any other way. I have over a stack of beef. I just need hay bales in order to craft anything. I see the wheat next to me. That's not nearly as effective as just simply getting hay bales. They have a second waystone, so I'm gonna steal it. Yeah, there's a lot more over here. I'm glad I tried. Okay. Let me steal you. We now have 4 waystones. More sugarcane! Oh, I shouldn't have wasted that gunpowder. I'm sure I'll get more, but... Jeez. Oh wait, free iron block, right. Hello, please, thank you. Lovely. Boop, boop. This way? Where? That's just a random cobweb. See all the logs? I'm not seeing hay bales, though. Wonderful, okay. You know what? Yeah. I have enough iron, we can waste a little. And I need to drop off the excess tools I have somewhere. Do you have chests? No, you do not. This is just a sheep house. You chest? Yes? You. Boop, boop, so I can be Iron Pike Boy. And bread. I can make bread with it! Bread. Bread. Okay, that's not even half a stack of bread. That kind of sucks. Y'all got more hay bales? Y'all got any more of those... hay bales? Hay bale... oh. Hey... oh. Hay bales. Lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Give me all that. Yes, please. Okay, cool. Boop. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Stack of hamburgers. I would like to get more, though. I have raw beef there. Let's... how... you know what? Oh. Oh, there's a cat at my door. Hold on. What? What? You know, you interrupt stream, you get to be on stream. Yeah, you like Spotlight? You enjoying this? Yeah? You say hi? No? No, we're just gonna be cute. Cute and mysterious. Was that your goal? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You can go that way. Go that way. You do not get desk space. Not right now. That way. You do not get desk space. No, you are not making this happen. Dude. No. No. Stop. No, don't you bite me. No. I told you no. Hold on. We have boxes. Box. Are you pitching a fit now? He's gone to check out something else. Okay. You got hair over my straw. Okay, more hay bales. That is a very yellow pig. Or probably, it's probably meant to be white, but it's just barely a hair yellow. Yellow-white does not work in this game. You have to pick white from a blue. Yellow just don't work. Unless that was the intention, and I am completely incorrect. This is not the right song. Oh, it just has a different end. Okay. Never mind. I'm wrong. I'm not seeing any more hay bales. Okay, I'm fine with what we have then. I would prefer to have extra, but this is fine as well. Continuing on this way. Ah, lovely. I'm gonna lag out my computer so much. There I go. Into the void. Into the darkness I go. Fading away until we teleport into the Skelly dungeon. I teleported to cows. Even better. Oh, they're already 46 health. Oh, Diamond Pike, and it's 3 hits. Oh, dear. That's not good for me. That is not good for me. There's some barrels and chests around here. Barrel down here? No. Okay, carrying on. Eat that food. Move this way! And not slam face first into a mountain this time. I look ridiculous holding that. Okay, lovely. That is a long weapon. Yeah, that's a weapon. Okay, into the void I go. Maybe. Not. A village, hold on. Wheat. Hay bales. Slowly glide down. There we go. Oh, you can see all their levels moving around. Okay, they're at left. Can I get close enough to one? I can crop it. Can I see your levels, please? I just want to look at one. Okay, I see a 20. You see on the oak fence, there's a 20. Everything's 20 health out here. Lovely. Okay, great. Great. So by the time we get out there, they're probably going to be 40-50. Is what I imagine. Oh, they're already 90 health. Okay, yeah, we're down bad. I am going to have to be extra careful about how we handle... No. I'm going to have to be extra careful about how we handle the skellies. Because it already took way more effort than it should have just to kill a couple cows. Although I am getting more levels from this, which is the other bonus. Okay, touch health. Okay. Now I'm doing pretty good for speed. But I need to go back into upgrading health again. Health and damage. Question is, will it actually let me? You have to evenly distribute everything, is my problem. And it's the #1 thing delaying me from doing more damage. Because it has to be separated out. At least we're almost there. This would have taken it. We are going such a long distance in such a short amount of time. And it's the #1 reason I even picked this build. Because Elytrian is horrible. Absolutely horrible for armor. But... Hay bales. But... It's the travel time is what's alluring to me. And just generally flying, because I love it too much. You know what, while we're here, let's add a crafting upgrade. I have leather, I have string now. Also, I'm not gonna get caught out, we're sleeping through the night. I'm not gonna get caught by a random zombie and die immediately. That's not how we're gonna play this. We play this carefully, with purpose. I mixed them. And boop, boop, boop. Yes, I'm aware of YouTube music. Just let me play my Minecraft parodies. And then from here, what do I need? I could have needed redstone. Alright. I need a chest. And then we throw down a crafting table, and then iron. And now we have a crafting upgrade for here. So now I can make all my wheat in here. Or all my bread. Lovely. And I should also do a furnace, but I think that, yeah, that requires redstone. Which I don't think I have that much. I haven't collected it. Yeah, I literally have one piece. I didn't think about that. I only thought about, oh, I need one piece of redstone for my compass. I don't need redstone for anything else. Obviously not. Why would I need redstone for anything? I would never need redstone for anything. Ooh, we're out in warm biomes. So the reason that's good is for Ratatouille, I need several warm biomes to get my materials, and we've gone through the two major ones, the savannah and the jungle. I need, ooh, pretty. Ooh, a stone tower. Ender pearls, yeah, please, thank you. And bread, everything I could want. It's all I could need. Get rid of that. Lovely. Yeah. Oop, oop. Okay, wait. Yeah. Alright, I still need to go this way. Jungle, you get 3 of the seeds for Ratatouille. And there's 2 sheep right there. In the jungle, you get 3 seeds that you need for Ratatouille. In the savannah, you get another 3. And then the forest, you get 1. And the plains, you get the last one you need. What do you mean it's 23? Okay. Where is this dungeon? Where are you? Which block are you? This one? This one? This one? This one right here. Okay. So this exact block. Skelly. Dungeon. Make it white. There we go. And I do need a shovel. Whoop. Whoop. Didn't I see an iron shovel earlier and I just straight up didn't take it? Ain't that funny? Oh, geez, cat. Okay. Get over here. Take the box. Take the box. Yes, you can have the box. That's where you get on the desk. It's this or nothing. Yeah. Yeah. You want the box or not? There we go. That is the compromise. Yeah. Perfect. That is the compromise. Lovely. He's very happy about this. He's very smug. Yeah. He only wants to cuddle with me and be this close to me in the middle of summer, and I don't know why. That is just what he does. Okay, this spot. So this will drop right down into the center, unfortunately. Let's turn off waypoints. This will drop right down into the center of the Skele farm, the Skele dungeon. And I'm gonna try and get through this as quickly as possible, and then make the Skele farm as quickly as possible. I have a very quick, easy way about making this that should be very efficient. Hopefully it actually has all of the spawners. Last time it cheated me out, I only got 2 spawners instead of the normal 4 that it has. So let's hope that all that is fine and dandy. Yeah, dude? You get the box or you get nothing, okay? We have this agreed upon. There's not room for you here, okay? He looks so— No! There is not room here! There is not room! Okay. Thank you. He's decided the floor is more appropriate. Actually, you know what? Hold on. It's late enough in the day. Come on, dude. What? What? Late enough in the day, I can open a window. That'll keep him entertained. Oh yeah, he's already lounging. He's got his body stretched across the top of the cat tree and across the windowsill. He's happy. Forget bird watching. He loves night watching. To be fair, we do have a couple cats. Discord notifications suck. Oh dear, hi Plush. Be glad I'm still streaming. I was about to close off stream about a half hour ago. But then I realized I want to beat the Ender Dragon by the end of the second stream. I was shocked. Oh dear. What shocked you? I'm sweating right now, sad. Oh no. Yeah, it's hot. I don't like it. You Still Be Live shocked me. Oh, yeah. I want to defeat the Ender Dragon by the end of the second stream. So, I kind of need to make the better Skele farm. We were at another one at spawn, because I got really lucky. There is a skeleton dungeon, like, right below spawn. Or skeleton spawner. It's not a full dungeon. It's the Minecraft vanilla dungeon. Why do you have a sub counter when I can't sub? It's stream loots. It's the stream loot subs, which are just about the same as the Twitch ones, and same price. Where I don't have my stream deck up. I am a bad streamer. I can click a button. Where is... There's a stream loots. There's your stream loots. That's how you can support the stream. That's a big streamer. Yeah. And Streamloots also has cards, which act like channel points. And they're $2 and you get a pack of them. And if you use the code First Club... Oh, hold on. We're here. Yeah? That's the thing. That is it. And it looks like it didn't cheat me on my spawners this time. Lovely. Okay, I need to be really careful about these guys. What was the code I have set up? The first 10 people that use... I think it's first something. First club. All caps. Coupon. Yeah, first club, all caps. Plus subscribed, thank you! As still blocking the link, wow. The first 10 people who use First Club in all caps when buying a card in the coupon slot get a free coupon. Or get a free pack. And then, now, when you use emotes, it should actually show up on my camera. This card does nothing, yeah. Somebody has a music box, I can't deal with that yet. That's just... It doesn't even fix it. That's right. Nothing fixes this. Nothing fixed that sound, but just turning all of my sound down. It's actually cheaper than Twitch by $1. Ooh! Did Twitch make it just slightly more expensive? I swear it used to be $5 on Twitch. A bone to pick. There we go. Now I got the achievement for the dungeon. Where is the edge of this? There we go. So now we need to go around to each spawner and disable them. Twitch raised its prices by $1 a few months ago, I think. Damn. So yeah, stream loots. we got the stream loots. I should check if there's a Discord integration, so maybe I can make a section for the subs and the Discord as well. I need to add that to my list of to-do. Okay, we're downstairs. I need to go upstairs a level. This song is a bop, but I just want to get the dungeon done. It's late. I should actually start streaming earlier so I can stream longer. Come on. Where's the floor? You are not a floor. I also need to remember, I need to make torches as we go through here, so skeletons don't start spawning in my tunnels, because I've had that problem in the past. Okay. Is this the floor? Yes, it is. Is there a spawner in there? Yes, there's one over there. We go. But Streamloot subs, when they use emojis, it will actually appear up here on my cam. And there's diamonds here. I wanted to promo Streamloots, but I guess we're getting diamonds instead. Okay, Minecraft, yep. Yep. And then when we get enough subs, there will be a SMP. Rubber ducky funds. Okay. I do plan on rearranging my room by next stream. I wanted to do it today, but I figured out how I want to floor plan that at like 4 p.m. I start streaming at 7. Oh, there you go. So I'm like, I don't want to be sweaty for stream. I need to also eat food. So by next stream, I will have things changed around. I may be able to get a shelf. And we can do a rubber ducky fund, because I would genuinely be interested in that. I already have some rubber duckies. I would happily get a rubber ducky for every sub we have. I would genuinely do that. Eventually I'm gonna need just like a... I think I want to do this mainly because one day, now I do they're really small. Rubber ducky, yeah. I think it'd be fun to eventually one day just get a amphibian tank purely to hold rubber duckies. Okay, you're lit. Can I hit guys from here? Yes, and they will struggle. They're 200. Oh, you suck. Oh, it won't let me hit them from here. Okay, so if they hit me, I'm probably dead, so we have to be really careful about this. Yeah, but at least this guy's gonna give me, like, a lot. No. This guy's probably gonna give me a lot of XP. Okay, there we go. This is a safe place to hit him. No. Get back here. There we go. Okay, he's dead. I got 16 experience from that. So let's use that for more damage. And we have one right here. Can I get that? Ooh. Good stuff. Redstone, we need that. Sharp, you know what? Yeah, I'll take it for the pike. It'll make this process easier. I wasn't sure if I wanted to, but yeah, that would be really helpful right now. Thank you. But I would genuinely do a rubber ducky fund. Or what could possibly be sillier? This is just a really random thought. I could do globs of slime. This is not the original thought I had. You know that little sewing pattern for frogs? I could do a bunch of those. Does that kind of look similar to the little thing that is the parasite? Or how I draw the parasites? But I think rubber duckies would be cute as well. Or I could get mushrooms. Mushrooms would be on point. Mushrooms or bunny, a tower of ducks. Not that way. I need to remember to light up my space. Okay. Duck. Okay. We'll have some sort of duck. Thank you, Streamloots. Here... There is no spawner here. Let's check downstairs as well. To be fair, we haven't even hit 3 hours yet. Oh. Well, I found the guy. The guy that has the music disc. Oh, that only did 2.5. Okay. I'm not nearly as upset about this. That did 1.5 hearts. I'm not nearly as upset about this anymore. I thought they would one-shot me. I thought I was dead right there. Genuinely. Whew. It is still 1.5 every time. But that's not bad. Especially for hardcore Ascendant mobs. This is by far the worst they can pull. By far not the worst they can pull. Okay, I got rid of the backpack guy with that. I didn't pick up his backpack, though. Okay, let's throw some things. We want to throw these in here. And I will throw the rest of this also in here. I do need that right now. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. And there doesn't seem to be any spawner down here, so let's try the other side. And then go around the other way as well. No, the CD guy's still there. Okay, what the hell? Is that the floor? That's floor. So let's do this so I have some room to maneuver, to dodge. There's some guys here, though. I can steal some XP from. Thank you, Nightbot. I want to do this. So I have a little blockade of how far they're gonna actually be knocked back. Now let me place the block there. No, I want to place block. You suck. I won't let me. It literally won't let me try and do that. There we go. Okay. Now they're not going to be nearly as knocked back. So I can just start to... Ooh. Oh, you're like really low health, buddy. Ooh. Boop, boop. There we go. Okay. Now I have a little corner for them. I always forget how touch guard I am. Oh dear. That ain't good. Up, 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 up. 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 There we go. Oh wait, before I kill him. Use XP. Use the valuables. There we go. Lovely. Anybody else for slaughter? Hello, you all. Hello, you guys. Can we get your attention? You, sir. Yes. How about you? I see you. You want to come over? Yeah. Come over here. Come over to the party. There we go. And then come to the party. Lovely. Love it. They love to see it. Okay. Great, 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 great. There we go. XP. Add. XP. Add. I think I found a therapist. Nice. Oh, something really sweet I saw at the farmer's market the other day. They had a booth. It was literally just a covered booth. All it had on it was a sign that said free listening. And then a couple of chairs, and it was just a couple of adults talking to each other. I thought that was sweet. For so long, like, mental health has been really stigmatized. And it's great to see little things like that here and around. She does art therapy, and she shares the same IRL name as me. Hell yeah, nice. Ooh, wait. Silk Touch, Multi-Shot, Depth Strider. I'll take Depth Strider. And the iron. Redstone, more iron, gold, fortune. We can upgrade that. I need to make a tool leveling table at some point. That would be beneficial to us. I just need to get a diamond pickaxe to do it. We'll have to do that upgrading spree. Oh, wait, hold on. We need to go the other way now. I need torches. So let's try this way and see how we do. And do this funky way down. And I'm hoping with the hammer that making a farm shouldn't take too long. I'm gonna use the same farm design that I did in the bingo, which is kinda jank when you first look at it, but it's extremely efficient. So we'll do that. Where am I? Just below the first floor. Okay. So this spot should be well and dandy. Yes, and there's a spawner over there. So let's move forward. Why is there a water cave? Why must there be a water cave? Right here. Right where I need to be. You are a special kind of friend. You are a special guy. Oh, wait, I could probably... I can get enough of them hurt. I just want to be able to hit that block. Oh, stupid water. I want to make a little blockade. Right. Oh, because I have the torch there. I know I can hit that block back there. There we go. Lovely. There we go. And now they stuck. They're stuck. Oh, they're stuck. Hello. No, no, no. Get over here. Get over here. I just want to hit you into a little corner. Is that too much to ask for? Not too much to ask for. I just want to hit you in a corner. Found us. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Oh, okay. I'm not going to explain myself. There we go. Gets caught in the corner. Get caught in that corner. Lovely. Give me that. Okay. Why won't that guy see me? Okay. Also, I feel like this song's kind of like... It's purely my hearing. My hearing is just messed up. I listen to music really quietly, I'm quickly realizing. It doesn't help I'm also talking as I'm listening to music, so it does not help. Yeah, I'm trying to put up shelves, but I have shitty drywall. Why is this like a remix of a song? What is happening? What the hell? I don't like that. Why is there just randomly a drum in the background? Okay. New song. Why is it just playing all AJR stuff? It's on shuffle, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Pure chance. Okay. We're moving to a new song. That'll do. Will it pause it? No, good. Lovely. Come on. AGR is good. I know. I just want to listen to a bunch of songs, same songs in a row. There's a variety in the playlist for a reason. Cat, hold on. Box. This is the compromise. No, this is the compromise. You get the box or you get nothing. Yes, hi. Hi. He just wants booty pats. That's all he wants in the world. That is the only thing he wants in the world. There you go. Cat, careful. You are going to knock over everything and yourself. So does Doug. Yeah. He only wants just pats. That's the only thing he ever wants in the world. I guarantee you there's a spawner over there. Fortune 2. Long-footed 5. I don't know what that is. Uses. Feet. How did you hit me through the chest? You suck. I mean, I'll take it. We'll find out what it does. We're gonna slowly maneuver around this corner. They small like that. Very small. Oh, wait, hold on. Torches, before I forget, I don't need skeletons spawning in my tunnels. I made the boar tunnels for a reason. Yeah, Cat? Do you want to settle down? Oh, you need itches. Okay. Yeah, I know. Just need the itchies. Yeah. He just needed some attention. Thank you, Nightbot. Is that better? Yeah. Okay, I need... What are we doing? Okay, I need to go back to work. We confident? We content now? Yes. Okay, good. Are we almost to the spawner? Oh yeah, it's right there. I need to get through your hitboxes. Okay, a bunch of them are gonna stop fighting each other. That's great. Let me just steal a little bit of XP out of this. Well. Dude, careful. You're gonna knock stuff over. Be careful. I'm moving that before you knock it over. I'm trying to make a skeleton farm cat, and you are diverting my attention. You are very adorable, though. Okay, more of that. Okay, I need a touch. I don't have enough experience to touch luck. So most of them are fighting each other at this point, so let's keep going. There you go. Thank you, baby. Just chill out. Yeah? Sniff hand? Yeah? Yeah? If you're trying to lay your head against this hand's gonna keep moving, unfortunately. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay, is this... No, I found the perfect level between the blocks. Okay, this is where we need to be. This is the other spawner, and I'm pretty sure this is the last one. There could be one below this, too, though. I need to check below this. Wait, place a quick... Did I get a torch there? No. There we go. Okay, we got a torch there. And then I need to check below this. It sounds like they're still all fighting each other. Did the guy who has the jukebox die? Yes. It's just a bunch of skellies fighting. This sounds horrible, actually. This just is horrible. Yeah. This is why we're fighting carefully. This is why I'm being a tunnel rat around this place. We just have one more corner to check, one more little spot that I need to check, and make sure there isn't another spawner. And then I say we grab a bucket of lava, and then pour lava over the place, and deal with them that way. Yeah, dude. You can just chill out. We're gonna be here a minute. I still have to make the farm after this. We've hit 3 hours. Okay, we're still in this room. Let's carry on. They're gonna be fighting each other for a minute, but hopefully nothing more should spawn. I'm gonna make sure of that by placing a couple torches around as we go. And I should actually place a torch back here. I don't have any in this general area. I have one right there. Okay. They're purely fighting in this one corner. I think that's hilarious. The moment you walk away from this corner, the sounds disappear. At least a lot of the skeletons are dying, but also they all have like 250 health. So it's gonna take a minute regardless. We're a little bit farther. And we're back at this room. Let's place that here. Okay, what skellies are left? It's still all the ones that are right there. So let's go over and see if we can join a little bit of the carnage. See if I can maybe get some final swings in. They're all just fighting each other, purely. I'm getting a few hits in here and there. There we go, I got some XP from that. Can I... Okay. I want to see what my actual speed is at. I can't be under more than 3 blocks. I need to be, like, have air above me as an elytrian. So we'll give it a minute to give it a little bit for the slowness to go away. And see what my true speed is. There we go. A lot of these guys are still fighting each other. Did I have not put a torch in here. There's guys over there that haven't been taken in on the massacre. I can just get a few little windows around. Okay, I got another one. Upgrade more damage. We're almost at 20. 20! And then continue upgrading health. We're at a point where I now need to take 10 damage. I need 10 levels every time I upgrade anything. Which kinda sucks, but we're handling it very well. Oh, they're fighting over there. How many do I have handled at this point? I see... You're hiding. No, no. This is just carnage. They're all just fighting each other. I just want this for B-roll at this point. That's chaos. It's pure carnage in there. Alright. You know what? While they're causing carnage, let us set up the Skelly farm. Because they are going to take a minute to wrap themselves up. And I never color-coded these, but at least I'm mostly keeping them in the same spots. We're gonna take this hammer. We're gonna mine out a little bit. And I'm gonna make this area our kill chamber. Once I get past the very stupid gravel. Get past the gravel. Past the gravel. Thank you. Okay. And then we'll dig up a few. Actually, it's probably... I can't do this too many, but I also need to have it just a little bit. There we go. Actually, just do a hammer. There we go. And this will back up pretty quickly, unfortunately, as well. So let's actually do this. Yeah, dude? You good? And then let's do a row of trapdoors. And we'll put hoppers going down right here. So let's set down a waystone, steal some items from other places. Skelly farm. Let's go back here. No, I need to go farther. Ooh, wait, I don't have the levels to do a lot. So let's go down over this way. Get a couple guys, and then travel around for our stuff. Hello, I know there's some guys back here. Hello? Are they all gone? Oh my god, they're all gone. They did seriously handle each other. Okay. They actually handled each other. Hi, sir. How are you? Why are you sniffing my arm? Okay. This place is completely safe at this point. Watch me eat my words very, very quickly. Alright, cool. I didn't even have to do most of the work. In that case, let's bunny hop our way. That takes one. And this is this village. Okay, I can steal from here. I need hoppers. I'm gonna cheap out on as much as I can. And I swear there was another blacksmith house around this area. Or might have been a different one. This way? This way. Or was there... You are a blacksmith. You have hoppers back here. Hoppers. Hoppers. Give me that. And then I already took the anvil from you. Oop. I didn't even realize there was a dungeon right here. Okay, is there any other blacksmith guys? Blacksmiths? Blacksmith. Here we go. Hoppers. And then I also need to get wood while we're up here. And I do need just a little bit of XP in order to get back. Okay. Trees. Trees. There aren't really a lot of good runs around this part, unfortunately. We'll have to go with some of the tiny boys. Oh wait, hold on. Let's go back to the other... There was the other waystone we had that's closer to the Skella farm, that's in the jungle area. I could just chop down one jungle tree and we'll be set. Ned. Jeez. Oh wait, this area ain't safe. Hold on. Hold on. I do not trust this area because we are above the Skella farm at this point. So that means the enemies are also the same levels as the skeletons. Okay. Now we can get a tree. I just want a normal jungle tree. Normal, regular old big boy. Can I get you down one swipe? No, too much. Come on. There we go. Oh, I love falling tree. And that's more than enough logs to handle us. Okay. And then we'll go back over to the waystone right there to get back down, because I did cover the way back. I did cover us the way down. There we go. And now we could take these, and I need... Let's go with 8. Or 9. No. Oh, wait. And then... There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Checking that the cats are in. Okay. Lovely. And we will dig down here so I can access all of these chests. Actually, I kind of want to do one more. Okay. Let's fix this real quick. Let's do bonk. 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 And last one, do it. And then we'll redo these guys. So they're actually double chests. Lovely. And then boop, boop, boop. And I missed one. And that should be all the hoppers we need. And I feel like... Can I get away with doing this? Yeah. Perfect. They can barely not get me. I'll stick with the jungle trapdoors. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, lovely. Absolutely lovely. And we'll keep jungle logs down here so I remember. I should actually, while we have the stuff, let me change you into a bunch of sticks. And then however many it takes to get a stack. And then boom. Lovely. Great, okay. And then only a few more things to go. I need to still make the entire area up there. But that should be a lot easier to handle. Yeah, okay. I need to actually get up there too. Let me up. I need the spawners to be enraged, but I also want to drop them a little bit is the problem. So they have to be at least 16 blocks within range of the player. So if this... Hold on, I need to be on the other side of this. What's the lowest? Let me grab that. This is... Where's my Y? You know what? Hold on. Where's mods? Advanced compass. Show coordinates below. So this is -29, so 16 above that. That would be... I need a math. 30, 46, 45. We can't have any spawners higher than 45 blocks up. Which is still quite a bit, thankfully. There we go. Lovely. Boop. And boop, boop, boop. Oh wait, no, it's negatives. I need to go the other way around. 16 to 29, -13. So spawners need to be here. The highest spawner, that is, needs to be right here. Probably put it on this level just to be safe. Okay. 1, 2, 3... Or wait. Starting from here, this is our line. This is one section. 2, 3. This is a second section. And then 1, 2, 3. And then we go 1, 2, 3, and do it again. 1, 2, 3. And this is one side of the spawner. And we're gonna go low. And then we'll copy this on the other side. And this would be a lot slower if I didn't have this hammer. This would be way worse. Beautiful. Although I'm still kind of mucking up the ceiling, but that's fine. 4... 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This... I still don't know why that atmosphere plays. I know that's an atmosphere mod. I don't know why. Because that's oddly horror mod pack for an atmosphere mod. Or how about we do this? Because I need to get up here with the spawners as well. Boop, 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 boop. And then place a block there for now. And fix that spot. Okay, so let's also prepare the second area. Alright, no, let's go grab one. Let's go grab one of the spawners. Let's grab whichever one's the farthest right now. You are right there. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, And there's a fourth one over there, so we have 4. I did place a bunch of torches, so we'll be fine. Boop, boop. Take a little bit of damage. Cat! No. Dude, off. 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 No. Off. Off. There are so many other ways you can go, cat. Okay, I'm still holding it. We're fine. We're fine. My cat just wants to sabotage the stream. It's okay. We're good. And then we place that right there, and it's safe. And I'm gonna move one of these. You know what? We'll keep one of these like that. So my plan is later do the same thing we did with the first farm, and I'll break this one block, and I'll remove the rest of the torches when that comes to it. I need to remember that. So 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. I missed that area before. And then up there, and up there. And we can use all these blocks in the tool leveling table whenever I get that. I think at the end of stream we'll quickly run to make one, because I just need obsidian and a book for that. We have everything else, I believe. How many diamonds do I have? I have enough diamonds to pull that off. Okay, yeah. Because you need to make an enchantment table in order to make a tool leveling table. I'm tempted to use some of the... I was about to say I'm tempted to use some of the diamonds I have in order to make a hammer, but that literally just gave me the perfect amount to make a diamond hammer. So, streamer luck. We're good. No complaints here, Your Honor. I need an enchanter table in order to make a tool leveling table. And then I need 3 more obsidian and 3 gold on top of that in order to make the tool leveling table itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should go right here. Does that seem right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay, perfect. And then we'll place the second one. Go grab the other guy. Grab whichever's farthest, which I think at this point is the one way around this corner. Bloop. This is gonna be such an efficient farm. I can't wait for this. I think the last time I made a farm like this in Amalgamation was the very first Amalgamation. That was a horribly edited series. And horribly planned on top of that. Or no, that was 1.2 that I did that. I can't remember whichever one I made the greenhouse in. I don't remember. And now we gotta dig another 4 down. So we'll start with this 3. Slowly dig down by one. We can also get rid of this because we don't need it anymore. And place 1 torch on it for the moment. And then I'm going to replace one of those blocks. Place a torch on it. So we'll be A-okay. And then I need my backpack. This is why we made a large backpack. There was a reason for the madness. Trust the cranberries. And hopefully we'll have this farm done pretty quickly here. That is the goal. Boop. So I'm not accidentally ruining this run. Yeah, we can keep that. I need to place more blocks underneath this anyway. Oh, a little bit of redstone too. Fantastic. I just want to get this done. Log off stream, AFK this a bit tomorrow and the day after. Have this ready by Wednesday. So we can go one-shot the dragon. This is taking a bit more than I wanted to, but that's fine. It's the things I do for the challenge. Honestly, hardcore hasn't impacted this nearly as much as I thought it would. I should have expected that from upgrading my health, but I really didn't. I thought hardcore would make this a serious issue, but it simply hasn't. And then we're gonna go one more level below. Bit by bit. I do, again, I do adore that these are like 9x9 areas. In large part. It's 9x9 with one in the center because I don't want the hitboxes to overlap. And that's well within range for me to do, so. So just helpful all around. It's great. Also, this is a unconventional idea I had from the last Amalgamation run. Unconventional idea from the last Amalgamation challenge run I did, which was bingo. I thought maybe this could be more efficient for 4 spawners, and it worked really well for 2. I have yet to actually test how well this will do for actually 4 of them. But the theory is, we're going to place another one right here. And another one right here, and then dig 3 more down. And it should just drop all the skeletons straight down into one little pit here. And it should be efficient. The question is, will it be? If my voice doesn't crack. I need to drink more water. Theoretically, it's all fine and dandy, but we don't actually know how well this will work. My alarm, no! Theory's fine, we don't know how well this will work. I'm hoping it will, but... yeah. And then we have one more spawner to go. We dig another 3 down. I wanted them to drop down more, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to drop down much. But that's fine. I'd much prefer... I want to drop them down 6 if possible. I don't know if I can accomplish that. But the goal is to drop them down 6 blocks from the lowermost spawner. I think we might be able to get that done. Yeah, we should be able to. It's not going to drop them a whole lot, but it will make a little pit. Which should work out. 2, 3, and then we'll do another 3 after this. This is why we have the hammers, by the way. General survival, it's very helpful. I do adore this. I do adore this mod. I mean, I'm not quite a diamond level, but I'll take it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm finding a Oh wait, you might have enough light from the one upstairs. Anyway, I do still want to leave that there. And then this spawner won't actually have any blocks underneath it. So we'll have a little totem pole of spawners. And this might overlap their hitbox. This is definitely going to overlap their hitboxes a little bit, but it should work anyway. Once upon a time ago, well, this was a really long time ago. I think the run was Colony Craft. I went full hardcore into one of these spawners. Super set it up the best way I possibly could. Even had a remote redstone system to disable and re-enable the farm. I don't think that challenge ever saw the light of day. I really don't think that farm ever saw anything. I mean, there might be a few screenshots on Ko-fi, but I think that's the only part of that farm that still exists. That's a little sad. But I'm pretty sure that is the only thing that's left. I wonder if we could, theoretically... What do you need to make a redstone lantern? I need glowstone. Okay, never mind. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I may be able to do that. We've seen several witch huts along the way of this. Let's go out here. And let's kill a few cows, kill a few farm animals to get some levels. You are entrapped. So let's do you. There we go. That's enough levels for me to use. I know we've seen witch huts. There was one... I know there was one closer to spawn. There might have been one up at this one. Was there a witch hut out here? No. There was one out at spawn then. Yeah, you. I don't actually have a waystone at spawn, though. This village is the closest I got. Boop. And then walk it. And while we're flying over, organize my inventory just a bit. My hope is the witch will drop some glowstone, or maybe, perchance, there's loot in a chest. No, I already killed the witch earlier. Okay. Oh, there was something this way that I didn't look into. Because there's a little house there. That's just a villager house. That's just an old abandoned player house. Okay. There was... I saw a dungeon at some point. There's that dungeon. Could this offer me glowstone? I don't know if it will. I am under the assumption that it would. When in Rome. Destroy that spawner. I mean, iron, yeah. You have even noticed me yet. Why is... Oh, it crosses over the coordinates, that's why. Okay, let's turn off the coordinates. I don't need that anymore. Advanced compass config. Off. There we go. Elevator music, wonderful. Okay, I one-shot things over here, that's great. Now, do you have any chests that could offer me glowstone? I know I can get soul sand from this place, but I don't know if it offers glowstone dust as a reward. Because I hesitate to go to the nether, because they're at least level 50. I hear child. Trust my gut. Infested caves, lovely. Those are spider caves. Okay, I don't think that's a thing. I know I've seen glowstone as loot before, but that might have been stronghold. Actually, that was absolutely stronghold now I'm thinking about it. That was absolutely stronghold loot. And I am not going for the stronghold today. No, sir. No, sirree. Okay, so redstone lamp, not a thing. But I could probably still set up a hatch where I can go disable the farm if I need to. Although I don't imagine... I would like the option to, but I don't imagine when I would need that. Wait. What houses are here? Oh no, it's... One of the houses here has like redstone contraption in the top, but it's not a redstone lamp. You know, actually, hold on. Not this one, not this one. You. Yeah, I'm wrong. I was at the right place. I was at the right place. Up there. You're a dungeon. Could you have been used with a redstone? Could you have been made with a redstone lamp? I'm no stranger to stealing. There's chainmail armor here. No. Okay. And then you go up here, and it's... You can't even get up here. It won't... Yeah, you can't even get up here. And it's gold and iron blocks. Okay. Okay. So no disable system, got it. I tried. I could not currently access that. But I'm thinking instead for the moment... What block am I targeting? Target -16. Right here at -16. That block. I could always... Or actually, I should move it one lower. And then I'll set up a door there so I could remove or place back a torch. I need... What the... Oh. The hair. Okay. Felt something moving on my arm. I'm like, that's not right. That don't feel right. Let me go over to the other side so I know when I've built up to the right spot. There we go. Is that... Yeah. Oh wait, smarter. Work smarter, not harder. And then dig up until we hit that tough. Tough? Tough? There it is. That's the spot. Okay, I need more ladders than that. Una más? Perhaps? Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then we can just have a light up mechanic here. So I can light up this area, and this should allow me to access. It doesn't allow me to access all of the lights. So let's switch this out to this. So that in hopes I can access it. Yeah. You suck. Okay. Okay. And then let's actually finish up this farm. This time, for real. I should have headed to bed like an hour ago, but I just want to get this done. That's on me for streaming late, but I didn't want to stream again another day this week because I need to work on Passion of SMP, we need to get West Nokia done, and I need to literally spend all week on that because I want that video out Sunday. The current thing we're doing, the One Punch build, will be out next Sunday, the 27th. Because day's 13th, so 20th is going to be PSMP, 23rd, 27 will be this video. There we go. Almost done, and then I just gotta fix up the water. And this is just barely too wide. To place only one water bucket, so we're gonna be going about a just little bit of a steep. I also need to remove these at this time. And we will move this one lower. And then 2 back as well. And yeah, that doesn't leave a lot of space for them to actually fall down there, but they're not gonna take any fall damage, but it will grant me a pit for them. It'd almost be better if I didn't have a pit for them, actually. Let's do this. Oh, I'm out of... yeah. Okay. We're gonna dig it down just a little bit more, because if I leave a pit, then there's only a small amount of skeletons I can get. If I don't leave a pit, I can have a much larger area to work with. Because all of them can fall down there. They can spawn mid-air. They don't need to spawn on a block. They can spawn mid-air and fall down here. The reason I want them to fall is so they fall out of the spawner's detection range. So we can make... so this spawner can start spawning more faster. That is the whole reason for this. Okay. And then I need to dig... one there. Hi, sir. How are you today? I never intend for diamonds, but somehow I keep getting them. And boop, 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 boop. And then water will be on that back row. Yeah. You have been an annoyance this entire stream. Okay. We're gonna at least get part of this done. We get part of this done. That's a good enough goal. I can just do all this tomorrow. Okay. So that's everything mined out. Okay. And then I do need to make a diamond pick before we properly do the farm. I do need to make a diamond pick, and then we need 2 diamonds. 2 diamonds for an enchanting table. So we move to diamond pick. Before I do all this, we're all ready to go. Let's get my obsidian. Is there any lava pits nearby? There's lava there. There's lava over there, perhaps? Lava pit. Have we seen any lava pits? There's a little chunk of lava there. The lava pit is a hard no. We have not seen any. Okay, that's red sand. We might have a chance at lava pit this way, in the desert. The Badlands. Oh, wait, hold on. Volcanic peaks. That will give me plenty of obsidian. Oh, yeah. That's why you don't go out at night. Okay, that was pointless. Cool. We'll have to be better next time. This is why I didn't want to do hardcore. Alright, lovely. Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah. Alright, Wednesday we'll start again. And we might do an early stream. Wednesday early streams seem to be better anyway. Early stream Wednesday so we can do all this over again. Alright. That'll be it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next time.